David Leopold is former president of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. He was involved in the legal battle to bring a Cleveland doctor back to the United States after she was detained and deported when the travel ban was first implemented back in January. Nice to see you, David.
Hi, Greta.
All right, so the Supreme Court says that they've exempted one category from enforcement of this order, and that's those who are with a bona fide relationship within the United States. What is that? Well, how's that defined?
Well, I think it's defined pretty broadly, Greta. I mean, a bona fide relationship, if you read the court decision, they didn't specifically define it, but they gave some examples. So they're talking about people who have family members in the United States. They're talking about people who have job offers or jobs at universities. So they offered some examples that were illustrative but not complete. And so the way I read that is anybody with any kind of a relationship with a U.S. person or an entity, so a church, a synagogue.
All right. Suppose I offer someone a job, you know, to I don't know, a job babysitting. Would that be enough?
According to the Supreme Court's decision, as long as you're offering that person the job to babysit, and the idea here is a bona fide relationship, babysitter-employer, and you're not doing it simply to get this person around the ban, then I think it's fine. I think that works.
So it's very broadly interpreted on an employment level.
Yes.
All right. How do you actually prove it? Let's say that I'm coming from one of the nations or something, and how do I prove this relationship?
Yeah, well, I think the way I read this is you'd prove it, if it's a family member, you'd prove it by familial relationship. So I think the decision points to a mother-in-law, so you'd show a marriage certificate, you'd show a birth certificate showing that there's a mother-son relationship, something like that. You know,
how about the babysitting job?
The babysitting job, it says, what the decision says is it has to be documented in the ordinary course, which is legalese for basically you'd have to show how you normally hire a babysitter. Maybe it's just a letter, maybe it's an email, but I think that would suffice according to what the Supreme Court gave us yesterday.
So that's broadly interpreted, and I suppose what the President Trump might say, that if let's say that you're a terrorist here in the United States, you could offer another terrorist a job and you wouldn't have that problem. Is that?
Well, the way I read the Supreme Court, I wouldn't put it past the President to say something like that, but the way I read the Supreme Court decision, we're talking about good faith. We're talking about legal entities and people who are entering not to avoid the ban. Right?
All right. So, things move very slowly in government. If I make my application, let's say today, in one of the countries to come here, and I'm in this category, and I want to establish that I have this relationship, any thoughts how long it will take to sort of convince anybody that I have this legitimate relationship?
Well, that, you raise a really important question, and that's beyond the bona fide relationship. My concern here, Greta, frankly, is that we've got an administration that is, really bent on keeping immigrants out of the country. We've seen that since January of this year. Now, what they can do, and my concern is what they will do, is to have the consulates, the U.S. embassies abroad, which issue the visas, that's where visas are issued, slow walk applications. Not just applications from people from these 6 countries, but applications from people from many different countries that the administration may not want to be here.
And which is why, getting back to sort of my thought on this, is that the Supreme Court didn't do all of us a huge favor by the way this was written, and now they've gone off on a 3-month vacation. They aren't going to decide the underlying issue until sometime in October. So I hope they enjoy their vacation. We'll see what happens at these airports beginning tonight when this goes into effect. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Greta. Thank you.